Hi, welcome to today's episode of Facebook Live that we every day conduct, and this is for mid-career professionals who are looking for leadership growth, and mainly people who are brilliant and trendsetters and go-getters in the mid-career level. They actually face a lot of problems. It is incidental that today, whatever I heard that the higher people rise, the more problem they get. So that is what I also see in my experience, and many of you might have seen. So let us uh, let us today discuss about that how you can save yourself from those problems which are kind of inevitable in our life as we grow. So let us get into the session today. And hi, I'm Sangeeta. I'm a leadership growth mentor and I help mid-career professionals to get unstuck and feel fulfilled and come back into reckoning. So people get sidelined, people have problems with the boss, and many of you whomever I have invited to be part of my trendsetters group, they initially don't realize that they have the problem. Me having a problem, I from that I actually get the insight and I strive to teach you that. I share my experience with you so that when a similar kind of situation happens with you, then you can also negotiate it with my experience plus your knowledge, your wisdom, and your background with all that. So, you should have more than one trick to resolve all your problems, right? So, the basic thing is joy. And I learned from Blair Singer, who is the world class leader, that it is the code of honor which, at the crisis moment, become your savior. So, in this regard, he tells a story about he wanted to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, which he has climbed, say, more than 10 times now, along with his son. So, the first time he wanted to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, and he made a team with his son, with whom he didn't have much of camaraderie, like say there happens, like say between a father and son, there usually at that kind of age when the son is growing up, what happens is there will be lot of frictions between father and son. So that was the uh, stage he was undergoing. So what happened, while climbing halfway through, the his idea was never give up on anything. Whatever you are doing, no matter how much challenge comes up, you should persist and complete the task. That was his value. Now, halfway into the mountain, it was just like say 3 4 camp up the summit. His son fell sick, and it was the temperature was going high. So there was a team so who can take his son to the base camp, and the base camp was told to be somewhere there is no English speaking person, and it was far from the city. So it was his choice now, Blair Singer's choice to persist on his value, to not to give up on anything that is undertaken already, or to be at his son's side. So what happens when such a situation comes to you? When you when you struggle between two values, like so what should you choose? So what he chose was, he chose to be at his son's side. Why? Because his code of honor was his family, his priority was his family. So his son, part of the family, of course, got the priority. and he went along with his son to the hospital where there was no place besides the patient. He was sitting on a chair the whole night, and he just kind of slept on the chair, right? In the morning, like say, there were the roosters were sounding, and he got up, and nobody else was speaking English, so he had to manage. So imagine if his son was alone there, how could have he managed? Because there was no English speaking person. Mount Kilimanjaro is in South Africa continent. So it was like a crisis, right? It would have been a patient who doesn't speak anything else except English, and it was a teenager fellow. How would have he managed without his father? So that was the turning point in his life between father and son, and it was a great bonding. His son knew that his father doesn't give up once he undertakes something, but since he had made code of honor, family as his priority, he took that decision, and the son realized that it took a lot of struggle, internal struggle, for his father to have made that decision. After that, the relationship between the father and the son was so good, so strong, that from that day on, both of them climbed the summit together for more than 10 times. So it was a very inspiring story. So many of us, we struggle between what to do and what not to do. So that is why we should have a code of honor, so that during the moment of crisis, we take priority according to our code of honor. So let me share about my code of honor, what I have decided for myself. Let us go to the screen number 1, my sixth code of honor, right? So the first code of honor is stillness, clarity. So, being resourcefulness is what I teach. That is the method. Being resourceful is the method. So, the first time when I came to know about being resourcefulness uh, was when I attended one HR workshop where I was not a HR, not a person from HR background, but I had to present a HR policy which my organization didn't have. I had to design it and present to the audience, and everybody liked it. That is when I first realized being resourcefulness helps. Like say, it helps in making friends. It helps in getting introduced to people as resourceful person and very smart, because people don't call you resourceful, they call you as smart, very smart. So that was how I was introduced to the people, very senior people from a big organization who were participating, and later on I uh, got entry into that bigger organization despite not having adequate qualification for that role. Still, I was chosen because I was recommended, and I selected for the post because of my resourcefulness, this thing. So when I started thinking about it, like say afterwards, so many times, it so happened that I didn't have the proper qualification for it, but still I had managed, like say in agriculture, I undertook agriculture projects for which I didn't have any qualification. I didn't have people management qualification. I didn't come from HR. I didn't have MBA background, but all those projects I managed very well. So um, when I knew, when I came to this online teaching training, uh, I knew that it is very essential to have the clarity. Otherwise, all our whatever qualification or experience we have, we won't be able to reach there. We won't be able to know what we could do, what we could deliver at the moment of requirement, at the moment of need. So pause to know. And also, you like I said, there is a lot of requirement of being silent. Like say, many people will be telling you when you ask questions. Like say, did I do this? So should I be doing this? Should I take my career forward in according to this experience of mine? All these questions, if you ask, nobody would be able to answer properly according to what you are doing or what you should be doing going forward. So what you can do is take a moment, take, like say, be calm and quiet, get into silence, stop your mental chatter, and just in a very disattached way, you have to write down, outline what you have just done. And that stillness, clarity is required. It is required when people are saying contradictory thing to you, when there is friction between people. It takes you to go into your inner core and outline why the incidence has been there for you in your life, why you. So that makes you know that it is essential for your training. It is essential for your evolution. It is essential for your learning. So that was the first instances. So for that, what I did was there have been many situations when I knew that this is so very essential to be mindful about whatever you are doing and whatever you would be teaching, that I formed it into a course. I formed it into a course, and this is my one of my bonus courses, which is mindfulness. And in this, I teach about be and have a third party syndrome. Like say you between your own thoughts and your own thoughts and your mind, the thoughts coming in and the reactions that you are receiving from the surrounding, you become a third party. You just become a witness to whatever is happening. So that is the third party syndrome that I call it to be. And sorry, let me go to the, sorry about this. Then being in silence while working, this requires not just 5 minutes of your time away after the day is over, but you have to be in this silent mode when you are working, when the reaction is happening in between the warfield, the battlefield. You are there amidst the warfield, and you have to be there, say, understanding all this. Be mindful, be grateful. Like say the last few days, I was feeling a little distracted, and then I just applied this principle: morning and bedtime gratitude. So if you have a habit of this writing down morning gratitude, whatever you are grateful for in your life, and bedtime gratitude, whatever has happened a great way in that day, if you have the habit of writing this, if you are distracted, you will see that you are not writing them anymore. So if you see one of my mindfulness journal that I maintain, let me share this also. If you can see this day number 6. Today is 9th, and 6 is not filled because I was distracted. Seven, if you it is like say three things I'm grateful for. Let us see. Third, I have written. Fourth, I also have written. Fifth, also I have written. It is the three things. Six is completely blank. Seventh, if you see, I have written half the thing. Three things I am grateful for, but the three mindful moments that I should have written, that is not there. And on eighth, I have written three things. The three things I am grateful for, but what I am, the mindful moments, what the gist of all these happenings, what is there? Just I could write one. It so happens that sometimes you are so overwhelmed with the gratitude that you are not able to express. And on seventh, if you see, I have just written down one. So this is the indication of um, being distracted. So uh, that is the, so you know, right? So make this into a habit, and this is the indication. So you perfectly know that when you are distracted, and this is okay. Sometimes this happens, and you let go of those things, accept these things. Then you will know how much you have written down. Actually, it was very complete. But when you are going great, there will be some disturbance, and you will be distracted from your concentration, and you will be given a challenge. If you are uh, getting distracted because of those challenges, then you should pay attention to whatever you are doing and be more grateful, because if you are grateful for something, then the more gratitude will come. And the moment it starts becoming shallow, the things, uh, like say whatever result you are looking for, that seems to go away. And in mindfulness, there has to be to bring your mind into that singular concentration. You have to have the alternatives placed, because as a human being, we are we are habituated to be in charge. If we are not in control, then we feel lost. So at least to start with, you should have this ABC plan, three plans of models. When there is no, you can't see any solutions in sight, then you just apply this plan A. If that is not happening, then plan B or plan C. Something will happen. Some small things will happen. It will start happening because you are looking for those to happen. So this looks a bit abstract, but if you start doing, if you have plans, then all the plans at the same time, it will not fail. Something will just happen. And if it is the contradiction, contradictory situation which is bothering you, then recognizing the situation will give you a clue, right? So that is about clarity. That is about developing clarity. So that is why in my course, mindfulness is a very significant bonus that I offer. The second code of honor is inclusion. So many times we have seen, if we are getting educated, if we are in working in some kind of job, then what happens is the other people, those were by our side, we start getting differentiated, and it gets into gets into our mind. It becomes an ego issue. So inclusion is something which is required when you do team building also. In teams, there will be bosses, there will be colleagues, there will be juniors. Now, the juniors, maybe the juniors are already there, or you are in the process of hiring. So at a workplace, when you are hiring, then make sure that you hire people who are very, very intelligent, who are trendsetters and go-getters. That way, you will always be challenged, and you will always feel the speed of achievement. So if you have this code of honor of inclusion, then you will, like say, there it is very easy to get distracted with some kind of jealousy, right? So, inclusion is something where people with more capability, less capability, average capability, everybody is included because they have been in that team because of certain area of brilliance in their character. So we have to have this humility of respect. We should have a habit of applauding whenever there is small, even small process is there, small achievement is there. We need to honor them, which is extraordinary, exemplary work, which is a path-breaking work, and it can come from anybody, not just the leader, and acceptance of them despite their background and all. So if this is the this is the code of honor, then there is no question of kind of say segregating anybody or getting distanced from somebody, right? So for this, the bonus that I propose is delegate appropriately. So, as I said, people will be there with different capabilities. All of have some uniqueness which can be harnessed into resourcefulness, right? Being resourceful at workplace is something very, 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 very important. And to be able to recognize that is a leader's responsibility. It is the mentoring process of the leader which makes the team cohesive, right? So, second rank nurturing whoever is there, and the fish gets to swim. So, according to their strength and capability and their nature, aptitude, we have to assign the work accordingly. Whatever is one's strength, we need to assign that work so that the person can do his or her best. And the goal that we should be audacious goals. It will be like say insanely big for our caliber right now, but that is what raises the bar, and that is what takes us um, out of our comfort zone and makes us like say struggle and hustle more to achieve more. And the best way to progress every day is to evaluate ourselves daily, regularly. Ourselves on individual basis and ourselves on a team basis. So if we put a team achievement, team goal, then somebody not achieving will not achieve the team goal. That means one person getting extraordinary and another person not able to perform doesn't achieve the team goal. So if even one of the person is not achieving to his potential or her potential, then we should be mindful about our own capability of leading the team. It is the leader's deficiency which is why the person is not able to perform. So we should be careful about that. That is why delegate appropriate is so very important. And acknowledge contribution always. Like say small contribution, big contribution, every contribution. So this is the second bonus that I offer in my course because of this inclusion aspect. Inclusion is my second code of honor. Third is observation. My third observation code of honor is observation, wherein we need to have responsibility. We should always question our responsibility whether we are taking enough responsibility as a leader and assigning enough responsibility to our team members appropriately. That has to be done by close observation of ourselves. Sometimes it becomes say mm, a little more, One of the leader I was reading was, he was saying the leader's capability is based on the the smallest person, who is the bigger machine performs according to the smallest gear in that whole setup, right? So if the smallest person is not able to perform, then we should know that that is where one of our responsibility lies. As a leader, we we need to understand that, right? So, and self-scanning, like say every day we need to have our behavior. Maybe one of our behavior will be putting somebody uh, behind, and rephrasing whatever your as a leader, you one of your main responsibility is communication, right? If one kind of communication is not able to reach to everybody, everybody is not able to understand, then rephrase whatever you are saying. It is so very important. If it is not like that, sometimes what happens is whatever I am saying, that is what I have observed. Whatever I am saying, it is, if you are not explaining step by step, what happens is people will perceive it as something very contradictory. It will be ambiguous for them. They will say this is hypocritic, like say hypocrite of me to be uttering the different things in the same breath. It is not like that. It is either or. So you have to clearly mention that there is a either this or that, and both the situations are at different times. So when time one, like say situation one happens, then there is one circumstances to be taken care of, and all situation is very different. So maybe I can I remember one story when I was dealing with this organic farming. Actually, I was dealing with alternative livelihoods. So in this, we went for agriculture methods, and in agriculture, we had to choose organic farming because the area was a forest area, and the people were not much educated. They were not habituated to use the the chemical methods. So this, and everything was natural. So we had to go for organic farming. So when organic farming one adopts, it means it is a holistic kind of farming. When the holistic farming happens, the animal, the jal, jungle, jeevan. These are the three things they say. But jal, jungle, jeevan, janwar, jeev, and what else? Like say six things. The other things I'm forgetting. If I remember, I'll tell. So, and Jan, right? So people, animal, the microorganisms, water, land, everything is linked to one another. So we went for dairy, we went for poultry, all these things, because the manure we had to uh, collect was from the dairy animals, and the poultry we had to do because that also is a source of manure, also of sustenance, right? So these were the things we were doing. So I remember my staff, my colleagues were asking me, someday you say about organic farming, someday you talk about poultry, someday you talk about dairy. So what it is that we are focusing for? That means the they didn't understand that organic farming is a holistic thing. So that is when I realized that even people are doing the same thing, because when nothing, you are not teaching something modern kind of agriculture, people uh, instinctively follow organic farming, even though they are following the same thing. And I was doing the same thing. I was following the same thing. just that I made a systematic math process of the entire thing. People were perceiving it as contradictory, right? So it was lot of work for one person. That is why. So it was uh, a warning bell for me. What I did then was I chose more masters. Like say amongst the ladies, what I did was everybody learned a simple thing. Somebody learned poultry, somebody did manuring, somebody did this root intensification. So see, so many things. I am forgetting all those nitty-gritty things. So hundreds of things were there I had listed down, and each person got to do one thing. And everybody in that village were dependent on that person for that particular process. So slowly what happened was it was not more than one activity for one person, which reduced the ambiguity. That is how I handle it. But we can, the the entire thing can be charted out and put in a map or say road map so that people don't get confused. And when people are bringing in problems, then it has to be handled in a calmness. Otherwise, people will be talking the same thing, but they will be fighting amongst themselves. There will be discord if somebody is not watching calmly about what they are trying to tell. It is the same problem. It is the same thing about responsibility and about deliverance. So you need to bring both the sides together calmly, and unless you observe the trend of how people are behaving over a period of time, suddenly it will be sudden news for you. So for this I have proposed this bonus of process versus results, in which there are so many things, but it is about the process, the not the outcome. Like say I didn't give them any outcome based responsibility to my staff. If we take the example of that alternative livelihood scenario where we actually a food scarce pocket of eastern Madhya Pradesh was turned into food sufficient pocket, and 500 ladies were trained to do certain things, certain responsibilities. They were talking about capital, they were talking about saving, financial management of whatever money they could gather. They had a corpus of 36 lakh rupees. They were managing that with some support from me. So it becomes huge when you assign responsibility to people. They become empowered, and the process has to be then streamlined, and because so many people are performing at the same time, right, and each one is looking for your attention, so everybody has to be um, given the responsibility as well as the acknowledgement and the applauds that they deserve, so that it becomes a single directional thing. Uh, Then the fourth code of honor is conviction. Like say, whatever I know, I realize. I have to have the conviction of whatever I know. I need to realize that I know this. Like say the organic farming thing. Like say everybody asked why organic farming. So from agriculture to organic farming, why did I choose organic farming? So it was a logical flow, but I need to have that conviction why I chose. Because everybody will ask. Because there is a perception that organic farming it gives less productivity. And we don't have any right to give the farmer lesser productivity. But under my situation, organic farming was the best because the investment that the chemical farming requires is huge, which the farmers didn't have. So that is what my conviction was. And also the natural farming is such, there were bee, the Serena indica variety bees were there, and these bees helped cross pollination in that. If you do chemical farming, then these bees will disappear. So these were the natural assets, natural resources that I had. So I had to do this. And the contradiction between the one way that chemical farming produces more than organic farming. So the contradiction is, with organic farming it is sustained. The soil quality is sustained. The soil texture is retained, and it is not, it doesn't deteriorate. So that is the contradiction between approaches, and we need to see those contradictions and do accordingly. We need to convince other people also. Whatever we convince ourselves, we need to convince others also to buy in the idea. And if you decide something, then be on that course. That conviction is very essential. It is when you, as a leader, if you are doing a job, then it is far from the conviction. Your conviction as a leader, as a job holder, as an employee, and a leader, there is huge difference you will see if you do something according to your perception, according to your understanding. Discuss it with so many people. Whoever, how many number of people you want to discuss, you can discuss, but whatever you decide, you have to ultimately repose on, right? So for this, I have this bonus which is called internal patterns, power of within. It takes a huge amount of conviction within and the resilience within to prove and to establish the logic and to uh, tell people about your vision and how you are going to do and how do you perceive the result to be, because it is for the first time. Many of the things that you are doing, that will be for the first time. Nobody knows about the result as yet. There is no other example of similar thing. So that is when you need a lot of inner power to handle that. So for that, I have this bonus wherein, and each of you will have this in will have will face different kind of friction and restriction and opposition from other people at your workplace. So the mainly whatever I have outlined is, it is the way you think. What is your perception about the what the other person says, what the other side is saying? It is your perception, it is your action. It has to be always positive. So it is internal pattern within you. Any anger, any negativity will not do if you are in such a situation. And it will be very different for everybody, whoever is at that situation. And when we go for this course, we will see that people face different kind of internal struggle within them. That is why they are stuck. And we'll discuss this, and each becomes a case study in itself. Then the final one is not final one. Fifth one is entrepreneurship, which is uh, which is about being independent, resourceful, innovation, sustainability. As you know, um, because you are handling something very controversial at times, then you need to be that enterprising person. Enterprise is something which is risk taking. Risk means being resourceful and prove yourself, and you have to stand your ground. And some innovation you have to bring in, sustainability aspect has to be there, and it is a long term game. So when this happens, like say, joy has to be there. So uh, if you are very passionate about what you are doing, then only you can take this kind of recourse, right? So for many people, for me it was agriculture at that moment. So it was a creative diversion. I discovered many aspects of agriculture to make it quality agriculture, and I invested in a new skill. Each of my colleague actually had to invest in a new skill so that they could handle these things. Monetizing the skill. Each lady that I had trained out of those 500, each one was selling her skill to the other person. And what was visible was, like say, somebody was growing a nursery and everybody else was buying from her. So it is a nursery at a particular place for the entire village. A village is about 100 households, right? So out of that 60-70% do something which they do. So for that 60-70% at one place, one person does the nursery. So everybody buys from them. Then somebody does like say different vegetables are being done. Somebody does poultry again. So the milk is bought from some people who are doing dairy. Poultry is bought from another set of people who are doing poultry. Vegetable is being sold like that. So monetizing that skill was happening. And also we set up small non-farm enterprises also, like flour mill. So we are also in the process of setting of some oil extraction machine, and that would have given some income to other families. From there on, now my mission is to train about 1 lakh people. So from those 500, if we take all those 500 from one project, whatever projects I have been doing since 2008, it has been 18,000 people whom I have so far trained, and 1 crore households have been benefited as a result of it. I have worked in 16 states of India. So directly or indirectly, 1 crore people's lives have been impacted as a result of this, because whatever projects I did, it was in several states and in several districts if it is within one state. So for me, getting to the online mode is a creative diversion which I have taken. I have learned the ways with which the online space works. I learned the the course creation, this email marketing, then website doing, then YouTube's the video that I'm doing. It is part of my videos YouTube channel. It goes to my YouTube channel, and blogging. All those things are simultaneously done. So it is a creative thing for me. It finds one aspect of me which is tech savvy. So that is what I am doing. So I am teaching you to be tech savvy if you are. So bringing technology is actually enables the process, and it multiplies your it scales up your whatever you are doing, right? So for technology, adopting technology is very essential. It is not an optional choice anymore. So that is what I teach. So in whatever you are doing, if there is a scope of integrating technology also into it, then we can find out a way how to do it in mid-career professionals, so that they become diversified in their talents, flexible, and they won't be fearful of change anymore because the world is progressing rapidly into modern ways with technology and being in present. So the first thing is we need to know about ourselves, right? Being in the present. Past is gone. Maybe the last project that you have done is a failure, but it is gone. It is not there anymore. You can start as yet. Whatever you are doing, the future, you are thinking of a better future, but right now the present is there. If you are not doing great within your present, then the future is not yet seen, and it is not going to be great because your future will be what you do right now, right? And expand the now. Whatever is available right now, don't wait for the tomorrow to do. It has to be right now done. And experience whatever you are doing. Sometimes it is good, sometimes it is bad, not bad. It will not be according to your expectation. It doesn't matter, right? So you have to be in the mode of leadership growth. That is why my flagship program is leadership growth using resourceful influencing. So that is what you are a leader, no matter whether you have the authority or not, whether you are in a leadership position or not, whatever you are doing, you are a leader of that activity, right? So, um, what I had in mind is people who are thinking of quitting the job. So if you are in that mode, like say most 90% of people who are stuck actually are thinking of quitting their job, their present job. So if they are in that mode, then the last few days that they are here should be unique because that is how you will sustain and grow your energy into attracting something, a bigger potential, a bigger opportunity for you. Unless you do it here, it will be very difficult for you to find a better opportunity elsewhere. So that is what I teach, and what you do which nobody can replicate. It is time when you should recognize what you can do best. How would you create your enterprise while in job? You need to be risk taking. You need of thinking to getting into the enterprising mode right from here. Being in a job also, you can be enterprising. Your approach will be very different from other people. From being just an employee, you have to be enterprising to be a leader and keeping safe yourself also. If you are getting yourself out of the picture also, you have to have your setting without any grieving, without any negative feeling, no frustration. That is how you have to create an enterprise. You should know that this risk is always there for you as a leader and as a trendsetter. You are doing something very different which will not be appreciated all the time right now, but it will be appreciated ultimately. So for that to happen, you need to prove that you have been positive and you meant well all the while. And how to reach to an unpublished job. All my life, I have always reached out to have an unpublished job. Like um, I qualified um for that position where I was not qualified to do. I was recommended to a position. I asked that I can do all this, and they were looking for a resourceful person who thought differently. So this is all. If you think that this has helped you today, then comment below the video and let us take it together. And I know the journey that you are having is very, very different than the other. So you can reach out to me one to one to discuss this out. And what I would say is there is a certain discipline. There is not always a solution. Solution can be from you. But you need to have the correct mindset, that discipline you need to have to make it a journey worthwhile for yourself. So, if you like this, you can we can also get into a discussion and take this forward. Thank you.